Just look at all these gift cards. Lyft, Chick-fil-A, Army, Starbucks, Texas Roadhouse, Target. Are you thinking about getting these for someone you love or for a family member? You better watch out because those gift cards cost our money. And it can be used to attract the scammers. How do you know protect yourself whenever the scammers get a hold of your gift card money? Here's Stephen Fabian.
It's a scam that has lots of shoppers on edge this holiday season.
I almost got scammed again.
Thieves stealing the money off your gift cards.
Yeah, the scammers are out.
Look at this police video out of Sacramento. Plainclothes cops tackling a suspect accused of shoplifting gift cards. When police say they found his stash, there were over 5,000 stolen gift cards. Authorities say scammers copy the barcode or they replace it with a new one. So when you pay for the card at the register, the full value of the card goes right into the scammer's pocket. In Pennsylvania, cops say a brazen thief can be seen putting gift cards back on shelves after copying the card numbers.
We recovered probably approximately 1,000 gift cards with a maximum retail value of approximately $200,000.
Across the USA, victims are sharing stories to protect others this holiday season.
The fake one, you can just peel the sticker off, which means they already have the numbers to that gift card. And once you load it, the money's already gone.
I just felt the back, and if you can see, there's a fake barcode on that.
I got a gift card from a parent as a teacher appreciation gift. The gift card itself had the barcode. It had like some residue, like super glue. So I do think that they messed with the barcode.
Sacramento school teacher Nilisa Vega says it happened to her twice.
The second time, that's when I was like, I'm done. Like, this is ridiculous.
Better Business Bureau expert Claire Rosenzweig says you can protect yourself with these simple tips. What can we as consumers do to protect ourselves from these scams?
This is for gift cards or any purchases. Save your receipts, save your documentation, because if you are scammed, you need to have evidence of the transaction. So you want to save everything that you have. So when you're looking at the gift card, first of all, you should make sure that the little pocket is secure. And secondly, if you are able to see that barcode, run your hand over it. You should not feel a sticker.
So if you feel any kind of sticker, indentation,
Red flag. Go up to the cashier and say, check this card to be sure that the amount that's on the card matches the barcode.
Target tells us they're doing everything they can to prevent these scams and that they continue to educate their employees on how to spot the tampering of gift cards.
Some great advice this holiday season. But with gift cards aside, I mean, it's just one of the great gifts. I mean, as Walter would say, here's $20. Get your own fucking gift. That's just Walter from Jeff Dunham. But all jokes aside, these scams are not a joke. That could be you one day. It really could be you. It could be you. You could be scammed. And you could share your story on social media to be the next Give Me a Break talking about all these gift card scams. So I'd say raise some common sense for those gift card thieves. Because it's costing consumers a lot of money. A lot. I mean, it's all over social media. All over. Because these people are sitting there saying, "Hey, let's just put barcodes on them, fake barcodes. They won't tell us the real one." But you can't tell it's the real one. So, grand advice: make sure you go up to the restaurant and say, "Hey, there's probably some on here. Can you make sure there's no sticker on the barcode?" If there is, put it back. It's just how it is. It's just simple. It's just simple facts. You can't be arrested and you can't be caught. You can't be caught for stealing. Common sense should tell you. As a matter of fact, this is what common sense would say. Don't be going around stealing gift cards. Don't be going around stealing the money, because the minute we take that gift card, that $20 gift card to Target, Sears, Walmart, Jack in the Box, Chick-fil-A, wherever, we're automatically into the scammer's hands. And it's costing everybody a lot of money, over $200,000. Every store retailer, it's costing them money. Like shopping carts. Walmart shopping carts cost $80 per cart. And you steal carts, you're stealing money. So common sense would say this. Hey, if you're stealing gift cards, you're stealing money. That's just how it is. It's just how it is. You will probably play gift cards with a debit card or whatever. But all jokes aside, but a simple fact is, hey, I need to make sure that I'm not being scammed by these gift cards. You follow the tips, then you'll know. Coming up, more about the DEA and war on drugs. Stone Phillips goes to a country where more drugs are being made. And then later, burning the candle at both ends. Stay with us. Saturday, I brought you the story about the drug war that's going on here in America. That was going on years ago, when President Reagan had the power to make a law cutting back the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. That was to where all the drugs are being made in different countries, such as, or different states. They would probably say things like, oh, this and this and this and that and the other. We heard from one DEA agent who told his side of the story about how he was beaten. We've heard from presidents who say they've murdered DEA agents. But there's more to the story than meets the eye. We're not going to take you to another country, to where this continues on, and probably nothing's being done. It's a story about drug enforcement agencies who are being outrun, outmanned, and outnumbered. Here again, Stone Phillips.
I don't think the average North American would be able to conceive of the level of corruption in Bolivia or in any drug-producing country. My own experience is that the corruption is just unbelievable.
Money can buy just about anything you want in South America. The socioeconomic problems down there are such that you can get whatever you want. Police, protection, buy anything you want, anyone you want, in the government or otherwise.
If part of the terms are that we must work with people who are corruptible, we certainly are willing to assume that risk. We play the game on their court, and if we want to be on that court, we will abide by those rules.
In Bolivia, the rules are dictated by a simple reality. The coca leaf brings $600 million a year to this poverty-stricken nation, and the key ingredient in turning that leaf into cocaine is corruption.
The State Department realized that there was corruption, and we had to live with it. Essentially, it was a question of working with what we had.
2 years ago, Ed Merwin was the State Department's chief advisor to the Leopards, Bolivia's U.S.-financed anti-narcotics squad. Now back in the United States, Merwin says bribe money turned assignments in coca country into a lucrative tour of duty for the Leopard commanders.
Most of the Leopard commanders either were corrupt or became corrupted. At any given time, just about anything I tried to do wouldn't work because someone was corrupt and did what they could to make it not work.
Consider the case of Hugo Anez, taken into custody with 210 kilos of cocaine. Damning evidence. But within 48 hours, Anez had been released.
We caught him red-handed in a laboratory in the Beni where they were producing cocaine. He had offered the Leopard commander a bribe. He then approached me and said, "You seem like a reasonable man. I will give you a check and you can add the number of zeros that you want." I think it's very clear that somebody accepted his offer.
In January 1986, Merwin submitted his final report to the State Department. "Our current level of effort," wrote Merwin, "is largely a waste of time and money." Tom Zepeda took up where Merwin left off, spending weeks at a time in the coca jungle, leading search and destroy missions with the Bolivian Leopards. For Zepeda, these raids result in frustration and little else. A $20,000 bribe to the right Leopard commander can send the troops in the wrong direction, long enough for the traffickers to process their product. And even when a lab is spotted from the sky, getting to it can take hours. An obstacle course through a jungle so thick that the only path is a snake-infested swamp. For Zepeda, just walking to work is often a job in itself. When we finally got there, the lab was deserted, as usual.
And they were here as recently as last night.
As always, this lab will be destroyed.
And what happens? I mean, will these people who ran this lab will make one someplace else?
That's correct. It's a good possibility they will come back right to this same site and
resume activity.
With a jungle the size of Georgia to hide in, Bolivian traffickers have had little to fear. Operation Blast Furnace was supposed to change all that. 170 U.S. Army troops and 6 Black Hawk helicopters sent in to take on the traffickers. An unprecedented show of force. But word of the operation was leaked before the troops even arrived. The traffickers simply went into hiding to wait out the Yankee invasion, and the locals weren't about to turn them in. 5 a.m., October 10th, 80 Bolivian leopards and 24 American soldiers head out on a surprise raid on the town of Santa Ana. The mission, to arrest 12 suspected cocaine dealers believed to be hiding there. DEA pilot Charlie Martinez was on that raid.
While they were serving the arrest warrants, the mayor of the town, mayor of Santa Ana, sounded the church bell. That was a signal for the townspeople to all come out in force, and they did, and I actually escorted the troops back to the airport.
The townspeople were siding with the traffickers. Kill the Yankees. Don't let them leave.
While I'm standing there at the airport, I could see this huge mass of people. They overran the perimeters and then completely blocked the runways and surrounded the Black Hawk helicopters. The townspeople were determined not to allow us to remove any of the fugitives, so not until we allowed them to look inside the aircraft to show them that we didn't have anybody arrested did they begin to break up.
It's just not a very popular war you're fighting in Bolivia.
No, it's not a popular war, but one must understand that there are 2,000 years of culture which we are fighting. It is not illegal to grow coca in Bolivia. So the peasant making $300 a year to support his family cannot understand why the Yankee colossus to the north is coming down to remove from them their only source of livelihood.
In the end, only 22 out of hundreds of cocaine laboratories were destroyed, and not one major trafficker arrested. The debacle in Santa Ana showed how the traffickers could muster an army of their own and win.
And after the troops pull out, I think the violators are going to have pretty much free reign and business as usual again.
The system is corrupt, and these governments need some help if they're going to resist that corruption. That help should be the United States.
Congressman Rangel says instead of tolerating corruption, the U.S. government should demand reform from drug-producing countries or cut off aid. No place has corruption been questioned more than in Panama, where critics say the most powerful man in the country is heavily involved in drug trafficking, and the U.S. condones it to protect a valuable ally. Panama City, the chant, Noriega sells drugs, Noriega sells the country. The center of this controversy is General Manuel Noriega, head of the Panama Defense Force, and a strong supporter of the U.S. presence in Panama, including 11 U.S. military bases and the canal.
There's a great fear on the part of some government officials in the United States that if Noriega himself is overthrown, the people who would take over might be even worse from the standpoint of the national security of the United States, in that they would try to turn Panama into a kind of copy of the Sandinista regime in Nicaragua.
Norman Bailey, a former staff member for the National Security Council, says General Noriega's value to the United States is clear, but so is the classified evidence against him.
From satellite photographs, overflight photographs, and documentary evidence, we know that the Panama Defense Force and high officials of the armed forces of Panama are profiting from drug trafficking and arms trafficking.
So there's no question in your mind that General Noriega is involved in narcotics trafficking?
None whatsoever.
The charges first came to light in La Prensa, the largest circulation newspaper in Panama.
This is a list of the stories we have had on drugs and corruption in Panama. So obviously we are the only media that is a constant bother to General Noriega's activities.
The most serious allegation against General Noriega involves the murder of Dr. Hugo Spadafora, a popular opposition leader and an outspoken critic of Noriega's.
He was the one who ordered the death of my brother because he publicly accused him of drug trafficking. My brother was taken off the bus by an agent of the Panamanian Defense Forces. That was the last time my brother was seen alive.
Where are the proofs? ¿Dónde?
Noriega denies ordering the Spadafora murder and says the drug charges have been trumped up by opposition leaders at home and by conservatives in Washington who want an excuse to renege on the treaty that will soon give Panama control of the canal.
El problema no es el general Noriega.
The problem is not General Noriega.
In his own defense, General Noriega has put together a book of letters from DEA thanking him for his anti-drug efforts.
The Senate has ordered the CIA to conduct an investigation into the allegations that Noriega is up to his ears in drug trafficking. And yet, you say he's cooperating. What do we make of it?
Certainly it is a mixed bag. Our own experience in Panama has been a positive experience. We are aware, based upon those hearings, that there are other factors, there are other interests.
What if an important foreign policy goal is at stake, or even national security?
Certainly if there were a national security issue and we were broached with either doing or not doing something in a foreign country.
Would you back off in that case?
Certainly we would back off.
It's been a very mixed bag of signals, which in conclusion ends up being supportive of the Noriega regime. And we question, especially now with the war on drugs being announced by the White House itself, that they continue to turn their head with regards to Noriega and Panama.
What would it take for this country actually to realize that it can happen here?
Rangel says the U.S. will ultimately regret not taking a stronger stance on corruption abroad when the spread of corruption is already reaching crisis proportions here at home.
It's not light years away that what's happening in South America, that it's human nature for large sums of money to corrupt people who are basically good.
In South Florida, 12 police officers convicted, 10 others indicted on drug charges. Dan Mitrione, an 11-year FBI veteran, convicted for accepting $850,000 in bribes. DEA pilot Bill Collar, caught flying loads of marijuana into Texas in his spare time, one of 7 DEA agents convicted on drug charges. And in one Georgia case, investigators wondered who wasn't corrupted. Elberton, Georgia, population 5,500. Not the sort of place you'd expect to find a major drug trafficking operation, not without the local sheriff knowing about it. Trouble is, he did know, and 80,000 pounds of marijuana later, he still hadn't blown the whistle. The kingpin in the Elbert County case was Larry Douglas Evans, known as Red, a former bootlegger turned marijuana smuggler, flying loads from Colombia back into Georgia, with help from local law enforcement.
It was a significant case because we had 2 Georgia sheriffs who were involved in the marijuana business up to their necks. We had a dirty state patrol sergeant. We had deputy sheriffs receiving payoffs from Red Evans. We had Georgia Department of Revenue agents who were on his payroll. And it becomes very difficult to enforce the law when law officers are crooks.
What was a typical payment?
Well, usually he'd just give me $1,000 and sit there and talk just a second and he'd be gone.
Charles Starrett was one of the Georgia sheriffs on Red Evans' payroll. Georgia State Trooper Ray Hammond was also on the take.
Red Evans had made a contact with a Georgia State Patrol sergeant who was the head of the Driver's License Bureau in Augusta, Georgia. This particular person had worked for Red Evans on the strips offloading aircraft, and it was a very simple thing for him to dummy up driver's licenses for the various pilots for Red Evans himself.
So he was on the payroll as well?
Sure, he charged about $1,000 a license.
With the phony licenses, Evans was transformed into Larry Edmonds. His pilot, Neil Hansen, became John Benton.
The net result was you were operating free and clear, and you just didn't worry about it when you got on the ground. There could be a police car there, but you just didn't worry about it. It was there for your protection.
But one night, the wrong deputy sheriff was on duty. Alton Hobbs wasn't on the payroll. It was 2 in the morning when he spotted Evans' Cessna 404 refueling.
Red Evans says the sheriff knows we'll be coming down here, so why don't you call him?
So you called the sheriff?
I called the sheriff and he came on down. He asked me why come I didn't just go on up to the shopping center and wait for him, that he would handle it.
Basically, he was telling you to get lost.
Yeah, get gone.
We weren't taken in for questioning or anything else. We were released right there and we continued on. We were departing for Colombia, in fact.
I don't guess that anybody in the United States hates drugs any worse than I do.
Sheriff Sterrett claims he never actually helped Evans. He simply looked the other way. But he took the money and served 2 years in prison.
$40,000 was all it was passed hands in the thing. And if I'd been intentionally getting in the drug business, I could have named my own figure.
Well, $40,000 is nothing to sneeze at.
Well, it is in the drug business.
What's that say to you about the power of drug money to corrupt?
I guess everybody's got their price.
Stone, corruption, greed, fear, cynicism. Americans like solutions. Isn't anything that can be done? What about sanctions?
Barbara, President Reagan has the power now to cut half of all U.S. aid to any drug-producing country that's not cooperating in the war on drugs. So far, he hasn't done it. Perhaps because by getting tough with sanctions, he may wind up getting DEA kicked out of these countries. DEA operates overseas by invitation only, and they can be invited to leave.
How about legalization? I've said this on the air before, I know it's radical, but that if we considered putting these drugs under the law instead of outlawing them, stringently regulating them, the profits to the drug barons would dry up, and government revenue would be available, and it might cut down on the problem.
Are you talking about cocaine and heroin
I'm
being
talking
legal
about,
as well?
I'm talking about everything being under the law instead of out of the law and out of control.
Well, I think decriminalizing drugs might help in this enforcement charade, but it's still largely untested. Completely untested when it comes to cocaine, and some opponents, of course, say that it sends the wrong kind of message, that somehow legalizing drugs sends the message that drugs are okay. You know, after 9 months of investigation, I've come down on the side of education, thinking that that's the way to solve the problem.
In any case, that's a good thing to start.
Generations.
Generations.
It'll take a while, right? Thank you, Stone.
We'll be right.
And the key common sense to this story: education. That's the key. Sorry. Still to come. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you burning the candle on both ends? Hugh Downs have a story about running on empty. But next, Stone Phillips is back with an investigation into heart valves. Stay with us to find out more. Before we start the Shiley story, one of the stories you'll see coming soon in this broadcast is the story about Dr. Charles A. Crenshaw, who knew everything about the JFK assassination. You'll hear his side, and only his side, about what he knew after Kennedy was assassinated, in his own words, titled, "I Know What I Saw." Also coming soon, the story of Dr. Death, aka Dr. Jack Gravodkin. Plus, a story about robbery in your house, and Hugh Downs on the story of Siamese twins. All those stories coming soon, next year on the broadcast, or sometime this week. We'll let you know what happens. But in the meantime, when we come back, Stone Phillips on the heart valves. Don't go away. If you have a heart valve that's owned by the Shiley Corporation, and with that serial number C in it, this next story may be for you. It's about these heart valves in these hearts as we men grow older. They just tend to break. And so when that happens, you gotta rush to the hospital. But why do they keep breaking? Tonight you're gonna hear all sides of the story from the victims, and from the Food and Drug Administration, and also from Shiley. Here again, Stone Phillips.
The last thing I remember is when my daughter came in
And she put her hands in my hand, and I recognized her hands. And I think I looked at her, and I felt blood coming out of my mouth, and I wondered, where's the blood coming from?
They said this is a once-in-a-million thing. It never happened before. Like a fluke, and we just accepted it at that.
So many people with these valves, and they think they really got a cup of tea. They really have a good cup of tea, and they don't know what kind of a piece of crap they got inside their chest. Using the expression, but that's all it is.
An ex-Marine in Los Angeles, a working mother in Philadelphia, and an air conditioning repairman in Detroit with one thing in common. Their lives all disrupted by the same small device, an artivalve with a fatal flaw. It breaks. Artificial valves, roughly the size of a quarter, are put in the heart to replace natural valves that have failed due to birth defects or disease. And all models have some risk of complication. It can cause internal blood clots. The valve we're talking about is the Bjork-Scheile 60-degree convexo-concave, and this model shows how it works. The disc here opens and shuts with each pulse about 40 million times a year. The problem is that the strut, or hook, that holds the disc in place can break off. The odds of it happening are very small, but when it does, it's an emergency. If the problem isn't diagnosed immediately and the patient rushed into open heart surgery, death is certain. So far, 190 valves have broken. At least 116 people have died. In 1985, Scheile announced a limited recall of the large-sized valves, said to be most prone to failure. And last November, the company withdrew all sizes from the market, stopped manufacturing the valve. But with thousands already implanted, the question is, how do you recall a heart valve that's in somebody's chest?
I was told, hey, get the valve.
Bob Kiernan got his Scheile valve in September 1982, following a stroke that forced him to leave his job as a supermarket meat cutter and his active lifestyle behind.
Well, I never got back to where I was before I became disabled. I never got, but I felt good about living. I felt good about breathing.
And he felt good about his new artificial heart valve. Its gentle clicking reassured him that both the valve and his heart were functioning. Bob's wife used to joke that it sounded like her car signal. In a quiet room, it sounds like this. Then came Scheile's recall in 1985. Now the clicking is a constant reminder that the valve inside Bob's chest could break.
I'm not exactly a namby-pamby, but it scares the hell out of you. And especially late at night. I get up and roam the island, but I don't want to listen to my heart tick. I don't want to hear that click, like the thing that used to be a joke is not a joke anymore.
Many a day I've knelt by a bed worrying about whether or not he was alive or dead, because I couldn't hear it.
Since the recall, Bob has installed an emergency alert system in his home. Operators who know his medical situation respond when he pushes the button.
Good morning, Bob. This is Mark. Can I help you, please? No, Mark. Just checking out the equipment.
And every 2 months, he goes to the hospital for an echocardiogram, a test that measures blood flow in and out of the heart. Learning the potentially defective heart valve in his chest without getting totally paranoid has not been easy. But doctors say Bob and thousands of others with this Scheile valve have no other choice. The risk of replacing the valve is greater than leaving it in. It would mean another round of open heart surgery, more trauma, and more chances that something could go wrong.
So we're kind of damned if we do and damned if we don't. It is a no man's land. There is no answer to it. You can't repair, go back, you have it, and you just live from day to day.
The Kiernans are now suing Scheile. Mary Southard, a mother of 4 in Detroit, got her Scheile valve 4 years ago as well. Hers broke Thanksgiving Day 1982. Her hall's listening to hear if the valve was still clicking.
It stopped. It didn't click anymore. And she got up and she said it felt like an explosion in her chest.
They raced to the hospital.
When we got there, they said that she had quit breathing and done open heart surgery on her all over again.
A second Scheile valve was implanted.
They said It was a 1 in a million thing, never happened before. And I said, what's the odds of it happening again, now that she'd already had this new valve installed? And they said, it'd be 1 in a trillion.
A week before Christmas, 1983, Mary Shiley valve broke. She died in surgery. The Southards have also filed suit against Shiley. The Shiley Company, owned by Pfizer Incorporated, is one of the world's biggest manufacturers of artificial heart valves, and it knew this particular voucher before it even went on the market. As this report shows, one valve broke during testing in 1978, killing the patient. So why was it allowed on the market? The Food and Drug Administration here in Washington, D.C. went ahead and approved the valve in 1970, knowing it wasn't perfect, because the benefits of its new design, fewer blood clots and less bleeding, were said to outweigh the risk of fracture. But the valves kept breaking, 2 more that year, and the recalls began, first in 1980, then again in 1982. With each recall, Shiley changed the manufacturing or quality control tests at its plants in Irvine, California and Puerto Rico, and each time the company reassured doctors that the valves were safer and sent them back on the market. Shiley reassured the FDA as well that the facts weren't always on the table. In the original permit to sell the valve, the FDA required Shiley to submit within 10 days complete reports on any injuries due to the valve. According to this internal FDA memorandum, the company waited as long as 10 months before revealing fractures. Shiley claims it took that long to get complete data, but other fractures were never reported. In June 1982, the FDA wrote Shiley, saying the valve problem posed, quote, an unreasonable risk of substantial harm to the public health, recommended the company stop distributing the valve until Shiley had satisfied the FDA that it was safe. Shiley refused, claiming that the FDA didn't understand the facts and that the failure rate was not unacceptably high. 2 years later, 91 valves, and the FDA wrote Shiley again, asking the company to voluntarily cease distribution and withdraw all sizes. Again, Shiley said no. So why didn't the FDA force the valve off the market? FDA officials refused to be interviewed, but wrote to 2020 they couldn't justify banning the valve because even with its unique fracture problem, its overall performance was no worse than other valves on the market. By October 1985, more than 150 valves had fractured, and lawsuits against Shiley were piling up. The company finally agreed to withdraw for good the large-sized valves responsible for most of the fractures, and just 5 weeks ago, the remaining small sizes were withdrawn as well. One person who tried to point out the problems was George Sherry, a former Shiley engineer, frustration, saying management wasn't doing enough. Sherry says he told the company in 1982 that the problem began with a poor welding process used to attach the hook to the ring.
The result was contaminated welds, inconsistent welds, process varying from day to day, product varying from day to day.
And the welds were weakened by stress, Sherry said, when plant operators bent the hook to install the valve disc, a routine the assembly process.
Right at these points is where the bending was taking place. With the latest in modern technology, a type of pliers like this, the hook first one side and then the other to capture the disc in its proper place.
How many times were some of these struts bent to install the disc?
2 or 3 times, or it could be as many as 8 or 10 times.
Sherry also demonstrated for us how some valves were put in a vise and the tiny hooks stretched or squeezed so the disc would open to the proper angle. Again, more at the welds.
Using pliers and vices to achieve close tolerances is just an appalling way to make anything.
Henry Peeler, an expert in metallurgy, has examined more than a dozen broken Shiley valves for plaintiffs filing suit against the company. Found with his scanning electron microscope supports what George Sherry said about bad welds. Peter spotted cracks, pores, and signs of bending.
We're now looking at a magnification of about 670. These lines here indicate bending that has occurred in the process of fabrication. And that bending, again, makes this entire structure susceptible to fatigue failure. So in all of the devices that I have examined, every failure has been well related.
Peeler says the solution to Shiley's problem was obvious years ago. Don't weld. Manufacture the valve in one piece to make sure it doesn't break. In fact, such a valve already designed by Shiley years ago. It's called the monostrut, and it's been available overseas since 1982, implanted in some 20,000 patients with no fractures reported. Shiley's application to sell the valve here is pending FDA. Officials at Shiley refused to be interviewed on camera for this story. In response to letters from 2020, the company repeated its claim that even with the fractures, the valve was a significant improvement over earlier models, and the company urged us not to report on the subject. The valve issue affects a small number of patients, and our broadcast would raise unjustified fears. Shiley did send a taped statement by its president. Here's a portion of that.
The 60-degree convexo-concave valve was widened by heart surgeons because it reduced problems of blood clotting seen with other valves. Despite the low incidence of mechanical failures, the 60-degree CC valve remained on the market because our company and the FDA felt that the clinical benefit of reduced blood significantly outweighed the small risk of strut fracture. Despite our continued confidence in the clinical benefits of this valve, we recently withdrew all small-size 60-degree CC valves from the market. We did this because controversy and negative publicity reduced usage of the CC valve to the point that continued production was no longer warranted. We have always kept the FDA and the medical community fully informed of the 60-degree CC variation.
As for whistleblower George Sherry, Shiley points out that Mr. Sherry does not have an engineering degree and says many of his suggestions on welding were tested and most proved unworkable or ineffective. The company further points out that 60-degree CC valve manufactured after September 1983 has had a strut fracture. That's encouraging news, but valves manufactured before September 1983 continue to break at an average of more than 3 a month. Jerry Taylor, a 47-year-old waitress in Philadelphia, was never warned that her Shiley valve might break. It happened early one Sunday morning in 1985, and she nearly died.
I remember, I guess, lightheadedness. It was just like I was running out of my feet. That's the way I felt.
Jerry's son was the only other person home at the time.
She wasn't moving. She just was lying on the bed.
Martin called an ambulance, and Jerry was rushed to a nearby hospital. They had no idea it was the valve until Jerry's daughter talked to the surgeon that night.
He showed me the valve. He had put it in a little plastic bag, and he told me that it had broke. And he, one of the pieces he told me had traveled, and they had to go in and find it. And he told me now it was a wait and see how she would do.
After surgery in intensive care, constantly, every time I would wake up and I look at these kids and I said, God, I'll never make it. What's going on? I didn't know what had happened.
Today, Jerry Taylor has a different artificial heart valve and a class action suit against Shiley. She says the company should have told her and the thousands of others who have the valve that there was a problem. Shiley's policy is not to warn, but to notify doctors instead and leave it to them to tell their patients, a policy generally supported by the medical community. But some of the warnings read more like promotional announcements. This letter from 1983 cites the risk of fracture, but concludes by noting the excellent performance, calling it the most effective cardiac prosthesis available, and never mentions that perhaps patients should be alerted. Jerry Taylor thinks that's wrong.
Not everybody can accept the truth. But they show in this case, because there may be changes in their life that they would have to make in order to save their life if and when it should happen to them.
Now, before we talk to Stone Phillips, we want to repeat what valve it is we're talking about. It's the Bjork-Shiley Convexo Concave. It's one of several valves made by the Shiley Corporation. Now, if you're a valve patient, this valve will be identified on your wallet card by the letter C in the serial number. So you may want to check your wallet card on that. If you've lost your card or never got one, what do you do then?
Well, you should have received a card at the time of the implant if you're a Shiley patient. If you didn't get one, you should basically consult your surgeon, find out. He can tell you exactly what kind of heart valve you have.
What is the perspective on the risk to these patients?
Say that the vast majority of people out there with artificial heart valves can relax, they don't have this particular valve. And even those who do, remember, Shiley reports that even in the worst group of valves, only about 1% are thought to have broken. Very small percentage.
Small risk.
Still, there is a risk, and people should know they may want to take precautionary steps.
Thank you, Stone.
And we should all take precautions when it comes to heart valves. There's probably not going to be enough time for that story about running on empty, about getting some sleep. We'll have that for you in the near future. And we'll have that for you, and we'll have that for you coming up this week, coming up later this week. But we're going to have... next we're going to have a story about Christmas cost. What is the cost? I mean, what's the cost of spreading that annual holiday cheer? We're going to answer that question for you. Stay with us. If you've heard of Candy Cane Lane in Corpus Christi and you've been there, you may want to skip this part. But if you're not from Corpus Christi, you haven't heard of Candy Cane Lane, you may want to listen to this story anyway. It's about the sticky side of what's going on in Candy Cane Lane. If you've never heard of Candy Cane Lane, it's just a simple neighborhood to where you can walk around, check out the Christmas lights, ride on ride, blah, 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 blah. I've never been there before, but if we were to do Gimme Break Simon over there, then it'd be like, whoop-de-doo, well, Gimme Break Simon from Candy Cane Lane, whoop-de-doo. But this is not, but sarcasm aside, we might do that next year. I don't know, but we might do that. What is the price? The question is, what is the price? What's the cost of spraying all that holiday cheer? Well, you're about to meet some people who may say that they have a sticky side. Here's Bill Churchwell.
Candy Cane Lane, known for its larger-than-life light shows, live music, and surprise characters. A neighborhood effort where memories are made, and sometimes even marriage proposals. Just take a look at the crowds. But when the last family leaves, cleanup begins.
Sunday morning we came out and the parking lot was just covered in trash.
Abel Bocanegra and his crew patrol the streets to pick up what's left behind.
And I guess before they leave, they clean out their cars.
Yep. That's a dirty diaper. Bocanegra and others take time to pick it up. Every single piece. A whole dumpster's worth. Every weekend.
We have to do a lot of maintenance because, let's face it, people are not, they're messy.
Susan Tackett has called the neighborhood home for 37 years.
People eat and drink while they're walking and just throw it wherever. Even though we put our trash cans out, we couldn't do any of this without them.
The cost for Christmas cheer coming out of their own pockets, adding up, and not only in electric bills. Those staple giant candy canes that line the street, well, for 11 months, they're in storage that the family pays for. Another cost?
So it's either a guest knocking at your door to use the restroom or Skittle cans. So someone has to pay for the Skittle cans.
All together.
It may sound silly, but close to 10 grand.
To help offset some of those expenses, visitors can grab a cup of hot cocoa from this stand in front of the Bocanegra's home for $4. For $10, folks can journey into their backyard where they've set up a Christmas wonderland.
There are a lot of neighbors that hand out stuff for free. There are neighbors that do donations, and there are neighbors that sell stuff. And majority of the time, all that proceeds just goes right back.
But a recent online post gained attention regarding them selling items in the neighborhood.
Back in the day, it was a free cookie, it was a free hot chocolate for that many people. You know, now you're dealing with thousands, and you just have a line.
Despite the traffic, trash, and occasional knocks on the door to use the restroom.
Still working it. Yeah, and you know what? We can't stop. You know, the people are gonna keep coming. And at the end of the day, we love it though.
Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
Look at the amount of trash there.
Yeah, and so much work that goes on behind the scenes. So go out, enjoy Candy Cane Lane. It is such a local treasure, but don't leave your trash behind. That's not cool, man.
It sounds uncool. And there's a word for that, for a common sense alert. fucking litter bugs. Yeah, y'all know who you are. You fucking litter bug bitches. Y'all know who you are. You want to leave out your trash behind. There's no trash. You want to sit there and go all... no trash behind. That's littering. That is littering. I mean, this may not be like skippy-doo lane. You just take trash can and go... Trash everywhere. That is littering. You want to litter? It's your choice. When you choose behavior, you choose the consequences. In this state, there is a law, a state law, which says you cannot littering in you cannot litter in Texas. And if you litter to $500, that trash weighs 5 pounds less than the volume, 5 gallons or less. If it happens again, $2,000 and 180 days in jail. You want to go to jail for freaking littering? I mean, the family that runs this place. Hey, next time you catch some litters, you need to take a picture of them, send it to police. They don't want to pick up their trash. You need to have them. They have to pay the fine. It's a misdemeanor here in Texas. A Class C misdemeanor. Because y'all gotta understand, hey, it is illegal to litter. And, you know, Batman might have something to say about littering.
You see the garbage around? Nah, man, screw it.
Litter bugs.
Did you hear that?
Littering.
I don't want to die! It was him! It was him! He's the rapper! Where'd he go?
Here I am.
No!
Nice Jordans.
I didn't even drop the wrapper, man.
Guilty by association.
You see the garbage?
I get it. Trash cans too far. You know, there's no trash can here. Here's what you do. You need to, if you're gonna go to this Candy Cane Lane this weekend, here's what you need to do. Bring your, you have those little HEB bags? Save them. Save those HEB bags. Bring them with you. If you have trash with you, just bring them with you. Bring the trash with you. If you have trash, just put it in. If you don't find a trash can, just put it in your car. And when you're going to go pull over, find the nearest trash can. If you don't know where it is, you need to ask the neighbors that run the street. That way you know, hey, is there a trash can around? And they say no, you need to hold on to that bag. If you drop the bag, you're littering. And that's a felony in the state of Texas. Littering is against the law. And there's a slogan for that. Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Texas, and don't be littering all over Candy Cane Lane. But they don't want to, I mean, all these people in that neighborhood have lives, they have jobs. And you want to sit there and just simply say, well, I don't care. I simply don't care. I don't care if they have jobs. I can't even find a trash can. Dummy. I'm talking to you. Find a trash can. Get yourself a grocery bag. Put the trash in that grocery bag. And then be on your way. It's just this simple. Sorry if I have hoarse voice. I sing a lot. The simple fact is, if you don't know where to find a trash can, you need to find one. Get that grocery bag, fill it up with trash. If you can't find a dumpster, go find a trash can that's not far. It's not far from the neighborhood. Drive if you have to. Don't sit there and litter because these people are wasting their time. Do not litter. That's just all I have to say. Do not litter. We'll be right back. Let's face it, we all want to play a joke on our parents, but when it comes to joking on our parents, it can get a little bit too far. Tonight's Final Break is going to be all about kids joking around their parents, especially prank phone calls. This is from Del Mays with just over 1 million views. 1.1 million views to be exact. Take a look.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. D, come on, bro. It's gonna be funny. But you know how Pop get though. Like he don't really do jokes like that. I mean, what's the worst he gonna do? Ground you? Ain't nobody talking. You got no day. Come who the hell? Just your way. I mean, hey, God, damn. Same question. Who the hell you think you talking about, boy? I said stop. You done messed there. You done lost your way. Wait, no, don't you run me, boy. Don't you run me. He does have a concussion. You say he got a concussion, huh? Hell no, bro. I ain't doing that, bro. Hell no, bro. No, bro. Bro, it's just a prank call, bro. Okay, look. All we gotta do is we're gonna call them, we're gonna pretend like we like the electric company or something, we're gonna say, yo, we ain't had no payment in like 6 months, you owe like $5,000, woo woo, and that's it. Like, that's all we gotta do, bro. You know he gonna flip. Exactly, bro. That's why it's gonna be funny. Come on, bro. And what if we get caught? I stay here. You can go home. I can't go nowhere. Yeah, we not gonna get caught. He right down the hall. They gonna clip some skin. D, trust me, bro. If we get caught, I tell you it was my idea. Alright, man. Alright, bet. Who calling? You calling? Okay, cool. We finna die. Oh, you a tough one. Okay. It's always the pinky toe. Alright, come on. Damn, who is that? Did you see I'm relaxing? Damn. Even on my day off, I can't be off. Hello? Yes, sir. Is this Mr. Mays? That depends on who calling. Who the hell is this? Yes, sir. I'm with the electric company, and we just wanted to call to remind you that your bill is due next week, and we don't want you to miss it again. First of all, I know where my damn bills are due. I don't need you calling me here. Hold up, again? What the hell you mean again? I ain't never missed no damn payment. Yes, sir, Mr. Mays. Our records indicate that we haven't received a payment in 6 months. 6 months? The devil is a goddamn lie. You better double check them damn records. Mr. Electrical Man. Oh. Yes, sir, I'm here. I was just double checking the records. Yeah, you better check them. Yeah, it looks like here you have a outstanding balance of $5,000. $5,000? You lost so damn much. Now, I ain't no damn mathematician, but where the hell is you getting $5,000 from? How the hell I owe y'all $5,000 for my bill for $200 a damn month? Even if I did miss 6 months, which I have not, that only be $1,200. So what the hell are you getting $5,000 from? Well, sir, the late fees of... I ain't been late. I pay all my damn bills on time. How the hell you go? Matter of fact, who is? What's your name? My name is Jesse. Well, look here, Jesus. I tell you what, if I got to come down there, I guarantee if I got to come down there, it's going to be a shootout. Sir, is that a threat? No, brother. I don't make threats. I make promises. And let anybody tell you, I keep my damn promises. So I'm going to tell you one time. If I got to put my damn shoes on and leave the comfort of my house on my day off to come down there, I guarantee that when I get down there, it's going to be a shootout. What the hell? Yes, sir. What was that, Mr. Mays? You want to run it by me again? What the hell going on? I know damn well, yes, sir. I need you to understand one thing. I am in control here. literally, and I will shut you down. This mother. Lord, you failed me. You failed. You know I'm trying to do better. You failed me. You better hope I. If you cut them down, I swear to God. You know what? I'm gonna have to take I'm gonna take my ass down there, 'cause they think I'm playing. I know damn well that. Oh hell no. I swear to God. I swear somebody gonna get dead. Somebody gonna get. Mr. Mays, you still there? Mr. Mays, you still there? Yeah, 3 seconds to respond. I'll shut him down. You have 3 seconds to respond. I'm shutting him down. 3, 2. Dad, before you say anything, this is all Daryl's idea. I promise you, I told him we should have did this. I know that you don't like joking around like that, cause like you too real for that, and you be too busy, man. You work too hard to be, you know what I'm saying, get joked on like that. I told him this was a bad idea. I don't know why he wanted to go through with this, bro. I don't. Your son's crazy, bro. He talking about, oh yeah, Pops ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? He just be running his mouth. He just be bumping his guns. He ain't gonna do nothing. He all talk. You know what I'm saying? I'm the man in the house. Woo. I was just like, you sure? Like, I don't want to get nobody in trouble. He was like, man, I don't care nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? We can do it. You know what I'm saying? Cause he real. I'm like, all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna have your back when you come in here. You see what I'm saying? So nah, bro. I don't even do that, bro. You should be ashamed of yourself, bro. Like, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know why. You know what, bro? I'ma leave. You know what I'm saying? I'm so disgusted with your behavior, bro, that it's ridiculous, bro. I'm just gonna leave y'all, you know what I'm saying, and have a conversation, because you need it. You know what I'm saying? You might want to. Because I told you that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't with it, bro. So, he lying. You got jokes? Huh? No. We doing prank calls now? Dad. We doing prank calls?
Rest in pieces. Rest in pieces. You want to prank call your parents? Just try a different voice. Like this. Like I said to lower your vocal cords. Like Darth Vader. You. This is Darth Vader. This is Josh Turner. Just asking your vocal cords to lower your voice. Unless you want to get smart. But if you want to prank call your parents, go right ahead. But they may like it or they may not like it. Depending on the practical joke you play. That's giving me a break for this Monday going to Tuesday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Wednesday. For everyone here at YouTube, stop bullying. Stop bullying, speak up, concentration, not strength. No jaywalking, your body, your choice. Have a good night.